for our first review, I'm going to turn to Tom.
All right. When this movie first started, I was a little worried because it started where it puts you in the middle of the action and then pulls back to the beginning. And I feel like it's become a real cliche.
Yeah,
very cliche.
I really like that idea, but it seems like every movie's been doing that lately.
It works sometimes, but
I prefer just throwing
this would have been more effective.
Yeah.
Really? Because this would have been more effective. I thought if it had more of just a slow build-up in the beginning.
Either way, if they
one
just
or
stuck
the
to
other.
one. Yeah.
Once it got past that opening scene, I like how it took the time introducing each of these characters. Throughout the film, I was actually more able to follow who these characters were than I feel like I usually am on the first sitting in like an ensemble war movie kind of like this.
That's true.
There's definitely like war cliches aplenty, but if you get past the kind of bland script where it's like a lot of military cliches.
You're the best Marine I've ever seen.
Yeah. There's a lot of scenes where Aaron Eckhart. I felt like Aaron Eckhart did the best he could with the material he was given, but there's a lot of scenes where he's talking and the music is just so maudlin, and like there's even one scene where he gives like 3 speeches in a row to 3 different characters with the same music playing in the background. But I mean, all that aside, I actually thought it was a pretty good movie. I really enjoyed it. The battle scenes were really intense, really well done. So overall,
this movie had some like serious flaws as far as script and just overdoing the military cliches, but I loved it. I was like, even with those there, I was sold. I mean, it's easily one of the best sort of Independence Day kind of alien
it's
destruction.
the most realistic, I thought.
Yeah, they took the idea of the alien invasion and sort of hyper-focused it on the single platoon and followed them around, and it seems so real.
We're going to completely abuse that word hyper this time.
I know.
I felt like this is like the first movie that showed like how we would actually react to an alien invasion.
And I don't know, it was just so fun, and I had a blast.
Paco, do we agree?
No, I think you all have used the word cliche an awful lot, which I appreciate because I think that's the word that describes this film the best. I thought it was much too cliched. I did not enjoy it because I was cringing through half of the dialogue. And I do agree that even though I love Aaron Eckhart, and I think everyone loves him after The Dark Knight, this script didn't deserve him. He didn't have enough to do.
That chin is just amazing.
The chin.
How has he not played a superhero yet?
The chin definitely deserves some recognition.
His chin should get an Oscar.
Top 10 chins of the year.
But I'd like to say, you've got a film called Battle Los Angeles or Battle LA or whatever it's called. The director needed to make better use of the backdrop of Los Angeles. We had a major action scene and shootout on an indiscriminate overpass. This
that
could
is
have been
Los
done.
Angeles, though. It's just a bunch of overpasses.
I've got, no one's shot Los Angeles better than Michael Mann in Heat. And
or Collateral.
Okay, thank you. Michael Mann gives you just you can smell it, you can feel it in Michael Mann's films, and you get a tour of Los Angeles while he's also telling you a story that hopefully you care about. I felt that this completely wasted the backdrop of Los Angeles. Because
they're trying to make them more visceral and more affecting. And I do think it's a good thing, and I think that it can sometimes have negative effects. Let's talk a little bit about that trend of how turning into hyper-realism. When do you guys think that kind of started, when war films really started to change?
I think Saving Private Ryan was one of the first ones that really... I mean, that opening scene of Saving Private Ryan, I think that, at least for me, that was the first war scene that I'd ever seen in a movie where it was more horrific than just sort of action. You know what I mean? It wasn't an action sequence.
Yeah.
It was just a horrifying moment, and I felt sick to my stomach watching it.
Yeah. And it's a long sequence.
Yeah. And just like people walking around with like an arm in their hand and things like that. I mean, I'd never seen anything like that before.
Just so chaotic and all this stuff happening. Like the camera doesn't really focus much on one thing, but there's so much going on, and you're just seeing things like that with the guy reaching down, picking up his own arm and stuff like that. But
And once it's over, you go through a little bit of a grieving process.
Yeah.
Because I remember once it's over, when you kind of calm down, and then the moment when they get to the mother, like on the porch, that moment, every single time I feel for her, because even though it's one person on that beach, the fact of the matter is I start thinking about all the people in this film that I've seen die on that beach. They all have mothers who've been delivered these letters, and he does it. I mean, Spielberg's a master.
Yeah.
And I think he completely changed war film with that.
And I think actually that has one of the most horrifying scenes in any war film I've ever seen, when he's the character's wrestling with the Nazi with the knife.
Yeah.
The slow stab. That is the most that scene. Actually, I remember that scene, and I'm thinking I will never ever allow myself to be in a situation like that. I just can't think of anything more terrifying.
I actually think Saving Private Ryan is the pinnacle of this genre, though, not the beginning. Because I mean, I almost see it going back to the 70s. I mean, that's we're talking about hyperrealism, and that's when, like, after
First Blood, almost.
Well, no, because you had Apocalypse Now before
Apocalypse
that.
Now, yeah.
Which is really trying to, even though Apocalypse Now is more abstract, it's trying to show you the horrors of warfare.
The scenes with especially once they finally get to Marlon Brando with the heads all over the stairs.
But see, I
whatnot.
see those as...
I'm saying that was like the beginning of showing it.
Yeah.
And then Spielberg took it and kind of like ran the last mile, and
I take it away from
Battle of Los Angeles versus the original Karate Kid.
No competition. Karate Kid. I'm a strong supporter.
You came out swinging.
Could probably quote the entire film, start to finish, right now.
Wow.
Okay.
Go.
Please don't. No.
You said that on camera.
You know what
Daniel's
I
son,
did
Daniel's
not
son.
realize?
Not saying shoot.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
No, I'm saying you're saying on camera that you can quote the entire movie beginning to end.
Okay, let's see.
Now you have to back it up.
What's the
Push, Daniel, push!
Really, it's okay.
He was nominated for an Oscar.
Who?
Mr. Miyagi.
Paprika, yeah.
I did not realize.
No, was he
that.
really?
He was nominated for
Good.
Best Supporting Actor.
What, that
It is a great movie.
That is a film, a genre film that pretty much hits every single note it should. That is textbook. If you want to learn how to write a movie script, study what they did in Karate Kid. That hits every single note it should. It's pitch perfect the entire time.
It's been a long, long time since I've watched Karate Kid, but it kind of has that status with me that I'm definitely going to vote for it over Battle of Los Angeles.
Same here. It definitely has a classic status.
Yeah.
Are you conflicted? Or
I am conflicted, actually, because I watched it a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And it's dated. It's very dated.
It's a very 80s film.
Yeah. And so it kind of lost that status a little bit. It's not as bad as, like, Goonies, where it kind of destroyed my childhood watching it again. But it's still better than Battle Los Angeles.
You calm down about Goonies.
Oh, whatever you
man.
want.
Whatever.
Battle for Los Angeles.
BLA.
Battle Los Angeles.
Do you know Battle of Los Angeles is actually based on an actual event?
Yeah.
It was based on an actual event?
Not a true story, but...
Oh, you mean when the aliens
something that
invaded
happened.
2 years ago? No, wait.
Where there was a scare during World War II?
It's a really interesting historical point. I'm going to cut it. Is it easy to navigate, or is it still?
You can watch it all on the iPhone now.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's actually easier to navigate on the phone than it is on their website.
Are like my fingers like making little puppet things?
No, it doesn't. I was rubbing my face.
You said it doesn't make no sense. It's double negative.
Well, yeah.
That's what I was laughing.
When your face feels tight, you just need to...
Just need to give it a rub. A softening.
You're gonna do your vowels, your consonants next.
Okay, we can do this, guys.